I would say that my artistry is very experiential, that my artistry is about telling my own story, and whatever is important to me at a particular moment in life, whatever is present and at the forefront of my mind, that is what comes out in my artistry. My artistry is about learning. I'm, one of those people who has an insatiable appetite for knowing new things, and my art often becomes a vehicle for me to continue to learn. My artistry is about building community. It's not a solo practice. My dance company bears my name, but that really is just to signify the uniqueness of the things that are Sydnie, but at the same time it's about building community around the things that are Sydnie and that Sydnie loves. My artistry is inspired, and mostly I would say it is inspired by history and legacy and particular values that really keep me going every day in my life. I think that, as I said, my work is very inspired by where I am in my life, things that are going on, people that are in my life, issues going on in the world that affect me. And that's really where I'm drawing inspiration from. My newest inspiration is I'm thinking about choreographing my grandmother's story. Recently, I came across her obituary. She passed about 15 years ago. And in the obituary, the headline was Henrietta Mosley, neighborhood activist. And in my work in the past few years, has launched me into becoming a neighborhood activist in my own neighborhood here in Harlem. And it wasn't until a couple of days ago when I happened to see that obituary that I realized that I'm carrying on her legacy. And it wasn't even a conscious choice. It just is. And I just feel like there's so much of her story that needs to be told, that needs to be shared. I think that there's something important, not only for me to dig further into my own family history, but to share a lineage of Black American women in this country. So I'm really excited about this idea. It is still an idea. To come after many other ideas that I'm in the process of actually executing right now. So.
I have a lot of tools. One is, in order to keep my goals in order, I just write them up on my wall. And I have two different walls. I have a wall in my bedroom where I just write notes of encouragement to myself about particular things, and every morning when I wake up, I look at that wall and I see the things that I both need and want to do. And just seeing it right there helps me to be reminded of what my vision is. The second thing is I have a chalkboard in my apartment, and that chalkboard is a space for me to write out, to draw out, color out whatever dreams that I have. And that is a space where, if I put it down, if it goes on the chalkboard, 9 times out of 10 it's going to happen. And so it's magical in that way. And then thirdly, and more recently, I've started a series of professional development workshops with my dancers in my dance company. And it started out as a way to continue to develop them in their own personal and professional lives. But I am also partaking in the curriculum that I'm building for them. And to have a group of individuals who serve as accountability for you, it serves as encouragement, serve as inspiration. When one person accomplishes something, it's like you want to accomplish your things too. And to have established that within my dance company structure has been one of the best, smartest decisions I've made in a really long time, because just in the few short months that we've been working, like leaps and bounds of things that have happened, and I'm just so excited for how much further each of us as individuals, and then as a result collectively how much further we're going to move. Sydnie L. Mosley Dances is the name of my dance company. It started out as a project-to-project company, as so many small emerging companies are in New York City. And we officially were established in 2011 as like a business structure. But the company has been a vehicle for me to create and present my own choreography. And after just a few years of doing that, I've come to a place where it just makes a lot more sense for me to be building and creating on a consistent body of individuals. And so just in the past 6 or 7 months, we have shifted from just being a project-to-project company, which essentially was like, hey, there's a gig, let's get together and do this thing, and having to fall apart and come together every time, to just deciding that I'm going to work on a consistent basis, whether there's a gig or not, and allowing myself the time and the space to create, and to have access to dancers and other creative individuals on an ongoing basis. So Sydnie L. Mosley Dances is the container for that work. And it has become one of, in recent times, like my greatest joys. Like I absolutely love this work. I love making dances. I love the individuals with whom I'm creating the dances. I love, that we have our professional development meetings. I love that we go on field trips, educational field trips, that may, include us performing, that may include us going to a panel or a roundtable discussion, or, going to support other artists who have supported us. But I adore this thing that is manifesting. And, the dream is that eventually it will become something that will be a full-time occupation, so that I don't have to, wait till 4 o'clock when school's out to go and to meet with the dancers. That I wake up at 9 o'clock in the morning, or not wake up at 9, but going to work at 9 o'clock in the morning is going to meet my dancers. So because I personally, I like to say that dance is my career, and that I have many talents and skills within the broad scope of that career. So I do make money as a performer when people ask me to perform with other groups or other companies. People also commission me personally to make work and solo work that I'll do. And people also invite myself and my dancers to perform, and we get paid for that. So that's like the most straightforward way. The other way is I'm also an educator, I'm also a teacher, and I would say that the vast majority of the funding for my company is literally me earning that money as an educator through various residencies, as a guest teacher, at creating new works on school groups at all levels, all ages, and then I would say thirdly, still a part of that educational section is doing talks, doing workshops, giving lectures, teaching in a more classroom setting as opposed to the studio setting. That's another way that I make a lot of money for the company. And then just, hustling hard. I would say those are the main ways. And I have to say that it is absolutely amazing and absolutely a blessing that I make 100% of my income from dance-related work. Many artists cannot say that, and that was a goal that I had, coming out of grad school, and the first job that I had was babysitting, and I was babysitting all the babies in Harlem on a rotating basis. And as much as I love children and I love spending time with them, it was very draining to do that. And so I really made a concerted effort to get to a place where I could support myself and I could support my work through dance-related work, because I am a dancer, and that is what I both want and need. I do absolutely love to cook. I also absolutely love to eat, and I think the loving to cook happened because I love to eat, and I have realized that if I wanted to eat, I had to cook, so it's pretty simple math. It is definitely, earlier I was talking about legacy, and that's a gene that has been passed down on both sides of my family. Again, my grandmother on my father's side was known in Baltimore, where I'm from. She was known as, the greatest cooker, the greatest baker in the community, greatest cook, I should say. And she specifically taught her sons to cook because she did not want them to be helpless, can't take care of themselves. She taught them to cook. She didn't want them to not have that skill and not be able to take care of themselves. And then, when I was coming up, my dad was the one who did the majority of the cooking. And my mother is also a fantastic cook, but she, the story goes that my dad got tired of he got tired of getting to know what was for dinner by the day of the week. And so she said, well, why don't you cook? And he said, okay, I will. And then that was the end of it. And she didn't have to cook again. She only cooks on Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's. That's it. The other 362 days a year, Daddy's cooking. So, I like to say that I have kitchen sense, like common sense, but like kitchen sense. And I think that just came up from growing up in basically two households where you just saw how things are made, how plates are put together, just how to be in a kitchen, how to navigate the space, what order to start cooking things, and that was just purely like from observing and soaking it up. And for me, I love cooking. And I started out just like being in college and calling up my mom and being like, hey, what's the recipe for spaghetti? And she would like tell me the recipe, even though she didn't have like measurements. So she'd be like, you just put like maybe a teaspoon of this and maybe that. And then I'd be like, okay. And then I'd like go and make it and be like, oh, it tastes just like yours, And from there, it's just, I think that creative gene has also seeped into it. I don't know. It's just a gift. That's just what I do, Like, I don't even go to the grocery store with a list unless I know I'm going to make something specific. I just go and I see what looks good, and then when I get home, I just look in the refrigerator, and I have to have a vision. I like to say, so only three things I have visions about: dance, writing, and cooking. So when I have a vision, and my roommate always knows when I come home with a vision because it's so specific. Like I come home, open up the Frigidaire, it's like, all right, I need this, and this, and you know I've got the plan already. So yeah, it's just a big part of my life. You can find me at sydnielmosley.com, SydnielMosley.com. That's my website. My Twitter is at Sid Mosley. Also follow at SLM Dances, which is my company's profile. You can find me on Facebook, facebook.com/Sydnie L. Mosley Dances. And I'm all over the internet. Let me just Google me. You'll find me.